Hello, it's been a while. I mean, kind of for me. I'm unsure. I filmed a video like 2 weeks ago and I haven't uploaded it yet. I haven't even edited it yet, okay? Haven't even gotten that far, but it's that time of year again where I rank things. And I did a poll on my Instagram back in, I think, June, if you guys wanted to see this video at all and if you guys wanted it combined with 2024 since I didn't actually upload it. I did film it, but I never uploaded it. So here's my 2024/2025 book ranking video. I've got a coffee here. Of course I do. I feel like that's a necessity for these videos. So let's just get in. I'm actually filming in the living room in front of the TV. You guys know that when I do these little sit down chatty videos, I like to film in a different spot than like my normal desk. My hair is sticking to me just because I feel like, I don't know, it's more relaxed, it's more chill. I was trying to sit in front of the fireplace so you could see the fire going, but you can't see it. So then I just scooted over. So, you know, ignore the TV. I was trying to find like a nice little setup to have the fireplace in the background, but it just wasn't working. I'm too tall. So we're just gonna sit and chill here and do it here because why not? I'm home alone today. That never really happens. We're just gonna roll and rank with it. I don't want to, but I feel like I have to do a disclaimer. You know, if I rank something that you love towards the bottom, you know, that's okay. It's my preference, what I like to read. I also want to say that I'm really sorry if any spoilers happen. None of these I don't think are like new publishes. I think most of them have been out a while. And everything is on my Goodreads, so if you want more of like in-depth or whatever, my Goodreads is always linked down below. At the end of every year, I go through my books that I've read or, you know, my TBR and get rid of things. I declutter things, I give it away, I donate it. So some of the books that I read in 2024 aren't actually here because I've already gotten rid of them. And I still asked you guys if you guys wanted to see it. You guys said yes. So, you know, sorry about that. I don't have the physical book here for some of them. But if I have it, I will hold it up to you. There's a box right here next to me that has everything that I still have in it. So I take notes on my phone because I have a terrible memory. It's so bad. I don't know if it's like the lesion on my brain or if it's the cyst on my brain or if it's just my brain, but I take little notes of just like what I think, a brief summary of things, and I, you know, I'm gonna try to keep this short, but I like to yap, so it may not be possible. We're gonna start with the 1 out of 5s. So for me, these are, I've labeled these as like not for me / DNF, least favorite to favorite 1 out of 5. And I'm really sorry if I mispronounce any of these names. Of course, again, I feel like that you shouldn't have to say that, but you do. Least favorite, A Brave Man, 7 Stories Tall by Will Chancellor. So this, I literally DNF'd it because they didn't use quotation marks. And I know that sounds like a really petty reason to DNF something, and it is. But it really bothered me, the structure of this. Like, and I'll open up a page for you. Of course, that one's like not a full page. So like you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Like there's no like real breakup of who is talking and what's going on. I couldn't get past it. I couldn't look past it. And it drove me insane to the point where I didn't want to read it. And to me, when I don't want to read something, I'm not a person that will read it. Like I can't force myself to read something that I don't want to read. And I know a lot of people can, but I cannot. Like if I'm not feeling it, it's not going to get read. I will do anything else except read that. So of course this was a DNF. I didn't love it. So yeah, I guess I can read like the snaps. Owen Burr is the 6'8" Olympics-bound senior captain of the Stanford University water polo team. In his final college match, however, he suffers a catastrophic injury that destroys his hopes and dreams, flattening his entire world into 2 dimensions. His identity as an athlete erased, his ambition indelible. He defies his father, a classics professor who lives in a cave of his own making, and moves to Berlin with naive plans to make conceptual art. Then he disappears. Without a single clue as to his son's location, Dr. Burr embarks upon a tour of public lectures from Greece to Germany to Iceland in an attempt to draw out his endangered son. Instead, he foments a violent uprising. Yeah, I couldn't get past it. You know, like I couldn't even, I don't think I got super far into this. It was not my cup of tea. Next is The Shack by William Paul Young. This is a book that I don't actually own anymore. This was too religious for me. I'm not a super religious person, and obviously this was like in, I think like every religion section at most stores. And I'm not entirely sure how I got it in the first place. I want to know if it was like in a goodie bag somewhere or something. I'm not entirely sure how it came into my possession, but it was too religious for me, and I wasn't feeling it, so it went bye-bye. This is another book I don't actually own anymore. This is Back to Blood by Tom Wolfe. I DNF'd this one because in the very beginning of the book, the word smack is repetitive, and it got on my nerves. Like, my brain could not get past it, but it had a lot going for it. I remember that. Next is a book I do actually have. This is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is a very slow start. I feel like a lot of it didn't need to be included. Now, I have seen the Netflix show and I really like it, so maybe that could be an issue because I've already seen that, and then I got this. Maybe that's why I didn't love it as much. Eggs is wanting to join us. But I feel like, you know, there was a lot that didn't need to be in here, and I didn't love it. I didn't love it. This one I don't have. I call them sleeves. They're technically called dust covers. River's End by Nora Roberts. The murder part was surprising, interesting, but overall it just didn't really keep my attention. I don't think I've ever read anything by Nora Roberts before. Again, I don't know where I got this book from, but you know, overall it just didn't keep my attention. I feel like some of it was really, really good, and then I just kind of lost interest, and it was really hard for me to keep reading it after that. But it was not awful, so it's ranked a little bit higher in my 1 out of 5s for that reason. Like, it wasn't awful, it had a lot going for it. It just didn't really keep my attention. Next is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This is older / classic literature that I tend to not care for. Like, this is a common thing with me. If you've talked to me, you kind of know I'm not a huge fan of like classic, not really my cup of tea. I feel like I have to work too hard to keep my attention on it. So that's kind of like the same thing with a couple of the other things that I've ranked already. If I have to work too hard to keep my attention and force myself to read it and it becomes a chore, it's just not my thing. It's not a very thick book, so like you can get through this pretty quickly. This is another book that I don't have anymore. This is The Assassini by Thomas Gifford. I found it difficult to follow. I think there are possibly too many characters. Maybe it was the structure of the book. I just felt like it was a little difficult to figure out what was going on where. There were a lot of point of views in this book, and while sometimes that's okay, like a couple of these other books have more than one person telling the story at a given time, and you'll kind of see that. I felt like this one, the structure was lacking for me personally. Another book that I got rid of, this is Left Behind by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. Overall, I just didn't love it. It didn't feel as if multiple points of view were cohesive, and I'm not super religious again, so it wasn't like my cup of tea. It kind of combines like The Shack with, you know, the Assassini review part, like it's too religious, but it also just, I feel like multiple points of view weren't necessarily needed. Another one that I've gotten rid of, this is Whitewash by Alex Cava. The beginning of this was really interesting, but overall it just didn't keep my attention. So very similar reviews to multiple things in the past. Another one I don't have anymore, Daddy by Danielle Steele. I did not like how Oliver acted when Sarah said she wanted to go back to school, and then the children acting as if she didn't love them. Made me feel as if they did not value or care for Sarah and only wanted her to be there to suit their needs. I didn't like also that Oliver immediately started looking at other women the way he would with Sarah when Sarah went to school. Now, this review is a little bit more in depth because I am genuinely a really big fan of Danielle Steele. I want to have like every work of hers, and this one I did have, but I have decluttered it just simply because I didn't want to keep it just because like I want to have it. Like I read it, I wanted to try it, and I didn't love it, so I didn't want to keep it just to say that I had it. Like it wasn't really my thing. And I feel like this was, truthfully, this is like the very first thing I read by Danielle Steele, first one I should say, that I didn't really enjoy. Most of the work that I've read by her I've really liked. I've read several things. I think in my 2023 ranking there was a video, or in my video there were books by her in it. I read a lot of her work. Same with Jodi Picoult. I have a Jodi Picoult book in here somewhere, I think. I like genuinely most of their work, and I did not care for Daddy, so unfortunately. Red Wolf by Liza Markland. I didn't care for the layout. It was very hard to grasp my attention and hold it. So again, very similar to some of our other reviews, you know. I felt like there was a lot lacking here. I feel like there was a lot lacking here. And I feel like I should be giving more in-depth reviews about things. Haunting of Hill House, you know, there's books about, or a TV show, Netflix show. I don't have a sleeve for River's End, and Lord of the Flies I feel like everybody knows, and the other ones I don't have, so you can look them up on your own. But this is, a journalist is murdered in the frozen white landscape of a northern Swedish town. Annika, a reporter at a Stockholm-based tabloid, was planning to interview him about a long ago attack against an isolated air base nearby, and now she suspects that his death is linked to that attack. Against the explicit orders of her boss, she begins to investigate the event, which is soon followed by a series of shocking murders. Annika knows the murders are connected. At the same time, she begins to suspect that her husband is hiding something, and nothing can counteract the loneliness that has crept into her life. Behind everything lurks the figure of the Red Wolf, a cold-blooded killer with the soul of a lover. In the end, she must discover the truth not only about the murders, but also about the lies that are destroying her own family. So it sounds really good, and it sounds like something I would love, but the structure of it just wasn't my cup of tea. I'll be better about telling you the rest, I promise. I'll try. Another book that I don't have is Lady Killer by Lisa Scottoline. This had aspects that were good, such as the dramatic entrance of Trish, but overall, just not my favorite. I felt like it lacked a lot. Another book I don't have is Nerve by Jean Ryan. I didn't really care for this. I think it had positive aspects, but had I read it when I was younger, like the target audience, I may have enjoyed it better. So kind of when I reviewed The Perks of Being a Wallflower, I think it's similar because the target audience is younger than me, and had I read it then, I probably would have really enjoyed it, but I didn't read it then, so I can't really fault the book for that. Zoo by James Patterson. This was interesting at first, but overall I did not love the environment, and I'm not entirely sure what made me just not care for this. So once in a lifetime, this is the beginning of the blah, 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 blah. All over the world, brutal attacks are crippling entire cities. Jackson Oz, a young biologist, watches the escalating events with an increasing sense of dread. When he witnesses a coordinated lion ambush in Africa, the enormity of the violence to come becomes terrifyingly clear. Now, with the help of ecologist Chloe, I'm not even going to attempt her last name, Oz must race to warn world leaders before it's too late, but the attacks are growing in ferocity, cunning, and planning, and soon there will be no place left for humans to hide. Again, sounds like something I would really enjoy. This is also by Michael Ledwidge, I think? Ledwidge? I've heard it pronounced both ways, so I'm not entirely sure. And this is like a TV show. I've never seen it. This has like photographs in it from the show. I don't think I've ever read anything else by James Patterson before, and if I have, I cannot remember, but I don't think so. I don't know, I just didn't really care for the environment in this. Eggs is sitting in this box, and now there's not enough room to put my books back. Next book I also don't have. Once I get out of the 1 out of 5s, I think I'll have every other book. In the Shadow of Gotham by Stephanie Pintoff. I enjoyed the scene of the murder and how they were trying to solve how it happened, but overall I just didn't find myself reaching for the book. So again, it had a lot going for it. Great mystery, kind of set in like history, but I just didn't, you know, it felt like a chore. And again, if it feels like a chore, I'm not going to read it. And I hope that Eggs just knocked over Zoo. I hope that makes sense to some of you. Next is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey, or Kesey. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Overall, it was good. I enjoyed it. I do think some parts were difficult to follow, not ranked higher simply because it was a challenge to read since there were parts that were confusing. So this easily could have been like a 2 out of 5, but I feel like at times it was a little challenging. Randall Patrick McMurphy, a boisterous, brawling, fun-loving rebel who swaggers into the world of a mental hospital and takes over. A lusty, life-affirming fighter, McMurphy rallies the other patients around him by challenging the dictatorship of Big Nurse. He promotes gambling in the ward, smuggles in wine and women, and openly defies the rules at every turn. But this defiance, which starts as a sport, soon develops into a grim struggle, an all-out war between two relentless opponents. Big Nurse, backed by the full power of authority. McMurphy, who has only his own indomitable will. What happens when Big Nurse uses her ultimate weapon against McMurphy provides the story's shocking climax. So again, it's not bad. It's not bad. Like I said, definitely could have been ranked like maybe a 2. I probably wouldn't have ranked it higher than a 2, just simply because I was a little confused at times. All right, another one I don't have is Afterwife by Polly Williams. I could not get behind the whole my best friend died and I have feelings for her husband and she hasn't been dead a year thing, but my fiance liked my best friend and now I can't trust them. Like, it's just not for me. I know some people really are into that type of trope, but it just wasn't my thing. She hasn't even been dead a year and like this is already going on. Like I can see it, but like it's not my thing. Again, it probably could have been ranked a 2, but I definitely would not have ranked it higher than that. Finally, for my 1 out of 5s, Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. Very good. I love the movie, but the book is confusing. I needed to read summaries to understand it completely, which is kind of on par with the movie in a way. Like I've heard a lot of people say that the movie is really confusing. Again, I had seen the movie prior to reading it. I didn't know when I saw it the first time that it was a book. But yeah, the year is 1954. U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels and his new partner Chuck have come to Shutter Island, home of Ashcliff Hospital for the criminally insane, to investigate the disappearance of a patient. Multiple murderess Rachel Solando is loose somewhere on this barren island, despite having been kept in a locked, guarded cell under constant surveillance. As a killer hurricane bears relentlessly down on them, a strange case takes on even darker, more sinister shades, with hints of radical experimentation, horrifying surgeries, and lethal counter moves made in the case of a covert shadow war. No one is going to escape Shutter Island unscathed because nothing at Ashcliff Hospital is remotely what it seems. So again, not bad. I do really like the movie. I think I have the rest of everything. I say that and I don't have the next one. 2 out of 5. I've titled Could Be Better. Weekend by Christopher Pike. Setting was good. I didn't realize it was part of another book, so it seemed scrambled at times. Good atmosphere in a foreign country, no phone lines, no one around. Good setup overall, just like, you know, could be better. This year was the first year I had ever read anything by Sarah J Maas, and I kind of went a little in. So a lot of these are going to be Sarah J Maas, because they're all kind of like the same world. So again, this is least favorite to favorite out of 2 out of 5 stars. Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas. Book was way too long and confusing. I feel like some points could have been cut from the book to make it more cohesive, and that some viewpoints weren't needed. So this is, I think, the 3rd one in the Crescent City world. Pretty sure. And I don't really want to say like what happens in this book, simply because I'm not sure what happens in this book versus the other 2, because I read them all back to back to back. But I know this one took me the absolute longest to chisel away at. Like, it took me forever, and it's not a thin book by any means. It's a big one. Like, she's large. I love the artwork though. Like, the artwork is stunning. But this just, I felt like some parts of this book, this specific one, were in here what I like to call as fillers, just to kind of take up space, like to make it thicker without adding a lot of extra to the story. You know, just, I feel like this book was that. Now, I love Bryce. I love Hunt. I love him. But, you know, I feel like this could have been cut in half for the size that it is. Like, it could have been easily cut in half. Found an online community where a lot of people felt the same way. Cry Wolf by Tammy Hogue. The best part was the relationship development between Laurel and Jack. I know it's deemed as romance and mystery crime, but it didn't have a ton of mystery crime to it, so if you're looking for that, you'll be a little disappointed, which is why I docked it down a few pegs. I thought that I kept this book, but when I was looking for it to do this video, I couldn't find it, so I think I may have actually given it away. It's not bad. Like, it's definitely not bad, but if you're really looking for a huge mystery thriller, like mystery crime, you're not, like, it's there, but it's definitely more of a romance. So if you're looking for a really heavily mystery book, you're gonna be a little disappointed. So that's why I docked it down a little. A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. It's shorter, and that wasn't the problem, and it was focused on the characters' lives after the war and all that. I just didn't find this book super enjoyable, and again, I feel like an online community that I found was very similar in feeling. Like, again, it's really thin, especially compared to a lot of the other works by Sarah J. Maas that I've read this year. I like that, you know, like, after the war ends, you kind of get a feel for what their lives are. I would not, if you're thinking about reading the series, I would not skip this, because there are things that happen in this that make sense in, like, the next one, and I think she's planning on making another one. I don't know about that, but there are things that happen in this that make sense later on, so I wouldn't skip it, but it's definitely not like my favorite, you know? It really is just kind of like, hey, this is their lives after the war has ended, and this is what's going on type thing, and that's really it. Like, there's not a ton more to it. Again, I'm not gonna go huge into detail with, like, these, because I'm gonna talk about the first one, and I feel like that should be where most of it comes from, because I feel like that's gonna be the one most people know about. Gerald's Game by Stephen King. It was okay. Not super scary. Like, I feel like a lot of people said this was really scary. I think my favorite part was the dog eating Gerald for horror. Although you do discover what happened to Jessie all those years ago. And while you see it coming with foreshadowing, it made me feel really bad for her. Like, you know, this is the first thing I've ever read by Stephen King, so it was good. I read most of it walking on a treadmill, so there's that. On a warm weekday in October, Jessie and Gerald Burlingham are alone in the bedroom of their Maine summer house, playing a game that isn't listed in Hoyle's, but suddenly, as Jessie hears the click of the second handcuff locking her to the bedpost and sees her husband looming over her, a nerve snap of recognition tells her that this time Gerald is playing for keeps. Her next move is furious, violent, and she is shocked to discover deadly. Giving up control is scary enough. It is terrifying when there is no one left to give it to, except that Jessie is not alone. Over the next 28 hours, trapped in a lakeside house that has become a prison, Jessie will come face to face with all the things she has ever feared, and the unlatched back door banging fretfully in the breeze is an open invitation to horrors she has never imagined. Inside the darkening bedroom, shadows gather in mute minutes, while inside Jessie's head, a taunting chorus of voices whisper and shrieks. Women alone in the dark are like open doors, and if they cry out for help, who knows what dread things may answer. It was good. I wouldn't say it's like the most, like, the scariest thing I've ever read, but I did like it, and I'm sitting in front of Stephen King right now, so I feel like it's very fitting. You can kind of see where it goes. Yeah, I had seen this movie as well prior to the book, getting the book after Caitlin and I watched the movie. She wanted to get the book, we picked it up, and I did like it. I liked both. The dog was the best part, though. On a completely different genre scheme, 1+1 by Jojo Moyes. This wasn't bad, a cute romance, and I enjoyed Ed a lot, but I feel like it was lacking quite a bit. You know, I feel like Ed was, I liked him, but I feel like there was just a lot lacking. So if you're looking for something super quick, it's good. Single mother and eternal optimist Jess Thomas has always tried to do the right thing, but life doesn't make it easy, especially after her math whiz daughter gets a life-changing opportunity they can't afford. Ed Nichols is a brilliant tech millionaire whose life is falling apart when he happens upon Jess and her family stranded on the side of the road. In perhaps his first unselfish act ever, Ed agrees to drive them, plus their pungent dog, Norman, to the Maths Olympiad and to a prize that could change their lives forever. Hilarious, heartwarming story of family dysfunction, devotion, and love found in the unlikeliest of places. So this is a book that I read. I probably would never read again. Like, I will probably end up decluttering this after I film this video just because I don't think I will ever pick this up again. This is the first thing I've ever read by Jojo Moyes, and while it wasn't bad, it simply just wasn't like the caviar to me. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. It was okay. The pills were a little redundant with Carrie and the prequel, although I understand it. I did not see the fire being the cause there with all the people involved. I knew Johnny had died in a fire from the first book, but I didn't see Katie being part of it. So again, I warned you that spoilers might be in, so apologies about that. This is part of like a duo. And I have the duo here, the first one, the duo here. So yeah, like this again was a super short, quick read. It didn't take very much to get through. If you're looking for something just to fly through, this is a really good option. It's a mystery crime, whereas like 1+1 is definitely romance. So if you want, like, they're about the same-ish length, but depending on your kind of vibe, you may prefer one over the other. Last one for 2 out of 5 is this one. This is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I thought the book had a lot going for it, but overall, I felt like it was missing something for me. Everyone knows a couple like Jack and Grace. He has looks and wealth. She has charm and elegance. He's a dedicated attorney who has never lost a case. She is a flawless homemaker, a masterful gardener and cook, and dotes on her disabled younger sister. Though they are still newlyweds, they seem to have it all. You might not want to like them, but you do. You're hopelessly charmed by the ease and comfort of their home, by the graciousness of the dinner parties they throw. You like to get to know Grace better. But it's difficult because you realize Jack and Grace are inseparable. Some might call this true love. Others might wonder why Grace never answers the phone or why she can never meet for coffee even though she doesn't work. How can she cook such elaborate meals but remain so slim? Or why she never seems to take anything with her when she leaves the house, not even a pen. Or why there are such high security metal shutters on all the downstairs windows. Some might wonder what's really going on once the dinner party is over and the front door has closed. So again, definitely like a mystery. I would probably classify it a little bit as a thriller. I liked this. This is, I feel like, a good eye-opener because things like this obviously, like, they happen in real life, and most people know that, but this really kind of opens up a door to that in a fictional sense, if that makes any sense. But it's good. It's good. I did like that. I flew through this, like absolutely flew through this. It's not a very thick book, but I flew through it. It's really good. So now we're into 3 out of 5s. I called these, it's all right. And I labeled these all years ago, like my ranking numbers, like what I would call them. The very first one is The Lost Boy by Dave Pelzer. Very sad, and I did like having a follow-up to A Child Called It. I don't have really any negatives about Dave's writing style at all. Like, I feel like a lot of people were negative online about this. I read A Child Called It many years ago, and I have it. I'm currently reading the 3rd final one to this here. These are non-fiction, so I'm warning you with, if you are really sensitive to this type of thing, I probably wouldn't read it. I would definitely recommend reading A Child Called It before you dive into this one, or A Man Named Dave, which is what I'm currently reading. Yeah, this is really about Dave figuring out foster care and trying to fit into a family that he's never really had before, and trying to just like adapt. I would say adapt. I think adapt is the right word to use here. I'm not sure where I picked this up from. I want to say I got it like Half Price Books or something, but I would definitely recommend reading A Child Called It first before you dive into this, because I feel like if you picked this up, you'd be a little confused about what is going on simply because you don't have the backstory from the first one. So I would definitely read the first one first. And people probably like, well, obviously, but sometimes you can get away with reading books out of order and they make perfect sense. But I don't think that The Lost Boy is one of those books. Like, I feel like you just need to have the whole sandwich, not just pieces of it. Hannah Green and Her Unfeasibly Mundane Existence by Michael Marshall Smith. My favorite parts were told from the devil's point of view because, of course, I wish there would have been more background into him as a character. Overall, I enjoyed it. So Hannah Green actually thinks her story is more mundane than most, but she's about to discover that the shadows in her life have been hiding a world where nothing is as it seems. That there's an ancient and secret machine that converts evil deeds into energy, that some mushrooms can talk, and that her grandfather has been friends with the devil for over 150 years, and now they need her help. So it's definitely like, it's a super fast read. Again, I'm not entirely sure where I got this from, but it's good. I did like it. Again, the devil's point of view was my favorite. I wish there would have been a little bit more to him as a character, but overall, it's really good. A super quick read. If you just want something to kind of throw in. I thought it was good. And I like the cover. I like the snake with the watch, like the stopwatch. I feel like it's very, very clever. Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. It was okay. Felt like it was really drawn out. So very similar to the third one, but the first one that I talked about. It's good. Again, I enjoy Bryce and Hunt as characters, but I feel like it was really drawn out in the middle. Like there's everything in here is important, so I wouldn't say it's like fillers like I did the first one, but I feel like there were portions that were just really drawn out. And again, my online community that I found, it was actually on Facebook, a lot of people said the same thing, and I had never posted. I still haven't posted in the group, but I saw people talking about it, and I was like, you know, I agree. Like, I feel like it definitely is a little drawn out. It's not bad. Like, I really liked Crescent City. However, I read Akatar first, and I was obsessed, and then I read this. I feel like had I read this first, I would feel a lot differently. I don't know if there's actually a proper order to read them. This is a relatively recent finish for me. This is The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice. I feel like Lestat truly needs a psychiatrist, but in terms of ranking, I enjoyed most of the book in the beginning, but towards the end, I felt like they were just doing things, and I think that's the point. So one of my friends bought me this for my birthday because it's her favorite book, and she was like, you need to read it. And I discovered that it's part of a series, and I was like, oh, this is the second book. She's like, yeah, you need to read the second one before you go in and read the first one, in my opinion. I was like, okay. So I read it. I've never read the first one. However, I feel like this book makes total sense on its own. So it's not like one that you have to read from the technical beginning. Like, you could definitely start from reading this one, because that's what I did and that's what she recommended to do. I've never seen the TV show, but it was good. Lestat, the vampire hero of Anne Rice's enthralling novel, blah, 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 runs an aristocrat in the heady days of pre-revolutionary France. Now a rock star in the demonic, shimmering 1980s, he rushes through the centuries in search of others like him, seeking answers to the mystery of his eternal, terrifying existence. I feel like this wasn't huge into his life as like a rock star like that suggests. It's more of like almost like a backstory of where he was before, if that makes sense. So I liked this. I could definitely see how it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. The First to Know by Abigail Johnson. Not a bad read. I do wish that we would have had more scenes between Brandon and Dana, even though that was the entire point of her dad, or her dad would have known about Brandon. I think that would have added some more drama, but overall I enjoyed it. So let me read this to you. Dana Field's father never knew his parents. When Dana secretly does a DNA test for her dad, hoping to find him some distant relatives for his birthday, her entire world implodes. Instead of a few third cousins, Dana discovers a half-brother her age, whose very existence mean her parents' happy marriage is a lie. Dana's desire to know her half-brother Brandon and the extent of her dad's deception clashes with her wish not to destroy her family. When she sees the opportunity to get to know Brandon through his cousin, the intense yet kind Chase, she takes it. But the more she finds out about Brandon, her father's past, and the irresistible guy who will never forgive her if he discovers the truth, the more she sees the inevitable fallout from her own lies. With her family crumbling around her, Dana must own up to her actions and find a way to heal the breach for everyone before they're torn apart for good. So this was again a really fast read. Like, there's not a ton of pages. It was good. I feel like I said, I would have liked more scenes between Dana and Brandon together. I know that's kind of like the point, but I would have liked a little bit more drama. But overall, it was not bad. It's, you know, ranked kind of like in the middle. It wasn't bad. I did like it. I don't know if I will keep it at the end of this year or if I will declutter it, simply because I don't know if I'd ever reread it. But I don't know yet. It's a little too early to tell. Scared Little Rabbits by A.V. I've heard it pronounced Giger. I love the story setting of summer camp and how each kid has to create something. I wasn't huge on the blackmail from Eleanor, but then finding out what happened to Eleanor and who was behind all of it, the twist was amazing. And I purposely left out the twist, so hopefully you guys are okay with that. This was really, really good. I did not see it coming. So this says, we stand in a tight cluster high above the lake. One by one, we made our way up to the narrow trail from the edge of campus. Now we wait shoulder to shoulder behind the police tape. 19 summer students, all but one. When Nora gets accepted into her dream summer program at the prestigious Winthrop Academy, she jumps at the chance to put her coding skills to use, but then a fellow student goes missing and the tech trail for the crime leads back to Nora. With no one else to trust, Nora must race to uncover the truth and clear her name, or she might be the next to disappear. An amazing mystery. Again, the twist is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I feel like this could have been ranked much higher, but a lot of the other books that I'm getting ready to talk about were just so good that, you know, I had to rank it somewhere. This is not bad at all. If you like mysteries, if you like books with a twist, this is really good. I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. The only thing I really would have liked to see is discovering exactly who it was sending Ed the cards in the mail. I enjoyed the Audrey and Ed ending, of course. I really liked that Ed needed to think deeper on how to solve every puzzle and how he needed to solve it. I understood the messages behind his conversation with Mom on the porch. Overall, a nice read, very easy. Again, it's not that I don't like really long things, because some of these books later on are quite large. I really like when things are, you know, not super drawn out, where things are good, they keep my attention. This says, Ed Kennedy is an underage cab driver without much of a future. He's pathetic at playing cards, hopelessly in love with his best friend Audrey, and utterly devoted to his coffee drinking dog, the doorman. His life is one of peaceful routine and incompetence until he inadvertently stops a bank robbery. That's when the first ace arrives in the mail. That's when Ed becomes the messenger. Chosen to care, he makes his way through town and helping and hurting when necessary, until only one question remains. Who's behind Ed's mission? So there are, like, I think, hints and maybe like suspects of who he thinks is doing it. I wish we would have had a little bit more of a definitive, clear definition, like, hey, this is who is sending it. I feel like that would be really, really helpful. But it is really good. I do like the puzzles, how he had to solve it. I think there's little drawings of the cards in here. I liked it. Last one for 3 out of 5s is this one. So this is the top one. Of course, it's ranked bottom to top. Harvesting the Heart by Jodi Picoult. I loved the writing, per usual. We talked about this earlier, but ranked lower because Nicholas bothered me. The way he treated Paige so poorly made me so mad. I couldn't look past it. Having a newborn and him going to the hospital to avoid Max crying, then making Paige feel embarrassed in front of his friends. Again, I know that's the point of him as a character, but he bothered me. He bothered me to the point where I complained about him to a couple of my coworkers. So that's, you know, whatever, but I had to dock it a few points because of that. Really good. Love Jodi Picoult's writing. Paige has only a few vivid memories of her mother, who abandoned her when she was 5. Now, having left her father behind in Chicago, she dreams of art school, marries an ambitious doctor, and soon becomes a mother herself. Overwhelmed by the demands of having a family, Paige cannot forget her mother's absence and the shameful memories of her own past, which make her doubt both her ability to give and her sense of self-worth. Out of Paige's struggle to find wholeness, Jodi Picoult crafts with astonishing clarity and evocative detail an absorbing novel. I feel like a lot of people could relate to parts of this with Paige, like at different points in the story. Like Nicholas just bothered me. But I do like Jodi Picoult's writing. Everything I've ever read by her, I've really liked. Usually it's like 4 out of 5 stars, give or take. Some things that I need to dock for, like this one, but usually she's ranked fairly high. So these are now 4 out of 5s. I titled this Would Read Again. Technically, I could do like that title for the 5 out of 5s. I could do that for some of the 3 out of 5, or yeah, 3 out of 5s. It kind of depends. But how I labeled it was this, just because these were not like, oh my god, I love it so much, I want to talk about it forever. But I would read it again. First one, bottom one. Again, bottom to top. Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. I did not see the death coming or how it happened. I liked how the story was written and the pace. It didn't go too quickly, but it also didn't go too slow. Overall, very good. I talked about this a little bit earlier with the other one. I don't know where it is in this box at the moment. Really good. I preferred, obviously, this one over the other one. This says, welcome back to the Sinclair family. They were always liars. 27 years before the events of We Were Liars, so the other book, comes another summer, another generation, and the secrets that will haunt them for decades. I really liked this one. I felt like there was a little bit more to it than the other one, but let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's right here. These two together, really good. I cannot remember which one I read first. I think I read this one first because it's the prequel. It's on my Goodreads in the order that I read it. I think I read this one first and then I read this one. I liked it. I liked it. I would keep this one simply because I liked this one so much, and they go together, you know, they go together. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked the mystery in this, the surprise, the twist, the thriller part. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I liked this, but I wasn't as invested as I was with the others. So this one, if you have not read it, is not from Feyre's point of view. I need to like really focus on how I say her name, because I always want to say Freya, but it's Feyre. I always want to say the name wrong. But this one is actually told from her sister Nesta, and Cassian. I think he has a few points in here if I'm remembering correctly. This is the thickest one out of all of them, out of ACOTAR. I know a lot of people hated that this was from Nesta's point of view. Now, I think it's important to get a little bit of Nesta's point of view. Like, I understand why we did it. I do wish that we could have done more of Feyre, but I did enjoy Nesta. I did, and the growth that she has throughout the whole series, but especially in this book. Like, I don't think that there's any part in here that doesn't need to be in here. And because this is not about the same, well, I mean, it is the same, but not the same point of view, I will read the back to you. Nesta has always been prickly, proud, swift to anger, and slow to forgive. And since the war, since being made High Fae against her will, she struggled to forget the horrors she endured and find a place for herself within the strange and deadly Night Court. The person who ignites her temper more than any other is Cassian, the battle-scarred winged warrior who is there at Nesta's every turn. But her temper isn't the only thing Cassian ignites. The fire between them is undeniable, and it only burns hotter as they are forced to work closely together. As the threat of war casts its shadow over them once again, Nesta and Cassian must battle monsters from within and without as they search for acceptance and healing in each other's arms. So, Really sorry if you hadn't read the others, but again, this has been out for a while. Yeah, I wouldn't say that this is like, obviously it's not like my favorite one out of all of them, but I definitely think that it was needed. I don't understand the hate that this one gets. I understand that people were really mad that the cover didn't match. I understand why though, because it's from Nessa's point of view. This is the mask. Like, I understand why they made the choices that they did. It doesn't really bother me all that much. Like, it doesn't bother me that the spine has design on it and the other ones don't, you know. But yeah, I liked this. I did. And it's thick, but I don't think there's anything in here that doesn't need to be in here. Then we get into another, I think this is the last really thick book. Oh no, there's one right there. Just kidding. This is House of Earth and Blood. This is the first Crescent City book by Sarah J Maas. I enjoyed the book. There were some major twists I did not see coming, but I felt like the start was a little hard to keep my attention, which is why it's ranked technically 3rd out of 4 out of 5s. I don't think this was bad at all, okay, at all. Again, I read ACOTAR first and I was so in love with that word. It's all I talked about for literally months. I think from January to, I want to say like April, maybe March. It was literally all I talked about. And I wanted Crescent City because I had finished ACOTAR, and I want to say it was April because my birthday's in May. And Caitlin bought me this for my birthday, and she also bought Throne of Glass. I did not read Throne of Glass this year because I was in such a deep fantasy world, literally I think for over half the year, that I just needed to read other things. But definitely will read Throne of Glass at some point. I just needed to take a fantasy break, okay? Really enjoyed. So I will read the front of this one since it's the beginning. Bryce Quinlan had the perfect life, working hard all day and partying all night until a demon murdered her closest friends, leaving her bereft, wounded, and alone. When the accused is behind bars but the crime start up again, Bryce finds herself at the heart of the investigation. She'll do whatever it takes to avenge their deaths. Hunt, I'm not even going to attempt his last name because I have heard it pronounced like 4 different ways, is a notorious fallen angel now enslaved to the archangels he once attempted to overthrow. His brutal skills and incredible strength have been set to one purpose: to assassinate his boss's enemies, no questions asked. But with a demon wreaking havoc in the city, he's offered an irresistible deal: help Bryce find the murderer and his freedom will be within reach. As Bryce and Hunt dig deeper into Crescent City's underbelly, they discover a dark power that threatens everything and everyone they hold dear, and they find in each other a blazing passion, one that could set them both free if they'd only let it. I agree with the Facebook group that Hunt may actually be a play on the devil. He may be play on Satan himself. Now, I don't have an answer to that if that is true or not, but the archangels, it's like really hard for me to say, and the power that he has, I understand where people are coming from when they say that. When I saw that online, I was like, that makes total sense, okay? That makes total sense. The start of this is just a little slow. I wouldn't say it's like a big chunk of it at all. So if, like, it's not docked any lower than this, it's not bad. I did really like it. My camera quit recording because my SD card was full, so might be a little iffy. I'm not entirely sure where I left off because I had to go in and like delete a bunch of stuff, so sorry about that. Again, I've heard this pronounced differently, so I'm not 100% sure how to actually say it. Murtaugh by Christopher Paolini. I loved the Inheritance Cycle world again. Would have been great to see more of him with the Queen, of course. I read Aragon for the first time, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago, and it took me a while to find this book. I finally found it, I want to say in like December of last year, I think, because I read it in January of this year, and you know, I really enjoy this. I have not read anything else with dragons in it. I do own Fourth Wing because I know that's a question that I will probably be asked. I have not read it yet, but I did really like learning about what happened to Murtaugh. Again, I've heard it pronounced Murtaugh. I've also heard Murtaugh. I'm not 100% sure how to say it. I liked learning what happened to him after, you know, the ending of the 4 Aragon like inheritance cycle. I liked learning about that. So I'm not going to dive huge into this because you do need to read the other 4 first. I did like how this was from his point of view. So very similar to how I feel about Silver Flames. I feel like this is very similar in a sense of you kind of get to learn about, like, tie up the ends of what happened to someone else from a different point of view. I did really enjoy this. Again, this is a thick book. It's a thick boy. 2 Days Gone by Randall Silvis. I really enjoyed the crime mystery, wondering if Thomas really killed his family or not. Then having the point of view switch to Thomas as he's trying to navigate what's going on. Very, very good. So this says, what could cause a man when all the stars of fortune are shining upon him to suddenly snap and destroy everything he has built? That is the question that haunts Sergeant Ryan DeMarco after the wife and children of beloved college professor and best-selling author Thomas Houston are found slaughtered in their home. Houston himself has disappeared and so is immediately cast as the prime suspect. DeMarco knows, or thinks he knows, that Houston couldn't have been capable of murdering his family. But if Houston is innocent, why is he on the run? And why does the half-finished manuscript he left behind contain clues to the mystery of his family's killer? I have never read anything by this author before, I don't think, and I know I've never read anything about Ryan DeMarco. This is like a series, I think. Loved. Again, if you are huge into crime mystery thriller, you would really enjoy this. Easily could have been 5 out of 5, but I don't know, these ones here are really, really good. Now we're into 5 out of 5s, and I titled these Loved It. So least favorite, 2 favorites. These are all really nice. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. The first one is The Island by Natasha Preston. Isolated island where social media influencers are invited to promote, and then people start, you know. So, a private amusement park for the very rich or the very influential. Liam, James, Will, Ava, Harper, and Paisley, social media influencers with millions of followers, have been invited for an exclusive weekend before the park opens. They'll create posts and videos for their channels and report every second of their VIP treatment. When the teens arrive, they're stunned. The resort is even better than they imagined. Their hotel rooms are unreal. The park's themed rides are incredible, and the island is hauntingly beautiful. Their jam-packed schedule seems to cover every moment of their visit, but they soon realize that something's missing, getting off the island alive. This was a really good mystery thriller. I did not see the ending happening. It was kind of wild. Okay, again, it's a really thin read, so if you're just looking for something super quick to get through, or like, you know, get over to like your next read and you just want to like do something, this is lovely. Okay, it's The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. I did not see the twist happening at the end at all, either part of it. I for sure was thinking it was going one way and then it went another. Overall good, but I still think that it could have had more, but because I was really invested, it had to be 5 stars. Okay, I've never read anything else by this author before. I do have a couple other things by her. I haven't read them yet. But this says, while 11-year-old Nora Davis was up in her bedroom doing homework, she had no idea her father was killing women in the basement until the day the police arrived at their front door. Decades later, Nora's father is spending his life behind bars, and Nora is a successful surgeon with a quiet, solitary existence. Nobody knows about her past, and she'll do anything to keep it that way. Then one of her young female patients is murdered, killed in the same unique and horrific manner that her father used to kill his victims. Somebody knows who Nora is. Somebody wants her to take the fall for this unthinkable crime. But she's not like her father. The police can't pin anything on her as long as they don't look in her basement. Really good mystery. I would count it as a thriller. The 2 twists at the end, I did not see coming. Now, I've heard some people online say that if you really, really sit there and think about it, you'll see it coming. I didn't, but I also didn't really sit there and really like kind of pick it apart. But I liked it. I liked it. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Loved the storyline. Clearly, I've talked about a lot of the other ones so far. Not all of them. You'll see that. But obsessed. Obsessed with this world. It's romantasy, so romance fantasy. Loved it. I only docked this down a little bit because you'll hear a little bit later, but because Tamlin, you know, I had to dock it just a few points, just a few, but still loved it. When 19-year-old huntress Feyre kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she knows about only from legends, Feyre discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least he's not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy Tamlin transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairy land. An ancient wicked shadow is growing, and Feyre must find a way to stop it or doom Tamlin and his world forever. This is really good, okay? I had never really read a romantasy before. Like, I would say my most fantasy book prior to this probably would have been like Aragon or something. This is definitely a more mature version. But I really liked this. I actually bought the first one, like this one, by itself because I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it. And I bought it with a gift card last December. And then I read it and I was obsessed and I wanted the next one. And then Caitlin actually bought me the set for my birthday. So then I got to read them all and I was really excited. I think it was my birthday. I know she bought Crescent City and Throne of Glass for my birthday. I want to say she bought this for my birthday too. Can't remember now. But I loved this, okay? This one is not super thick. It's super easy to get through. If you don't like romance, you would probably hate this whole series. With Malice by Eileen Cook, I loved how every chapter was a different feeling. Did Jill do it or did she not? I'm disappointed that we never fully got an explanation that was truly set in stone, but I also love that part because memories are like that, fluid and flexible. It's not until you really dig at them do you realize meaning behind them sometimes. So I understand why we didn't get that, but at the same time I would have liked it. So this says, 2 friends, an exotic foreign location, the potential for jealousy and revenge, and an accident that looks like it might have been murder. It didn't matter what the truth was. What mattered was that it was fun to talk about. So, oh, okay, there's more. 18-year-old Jill Sharon wakes up in a hospital bed, a leg in a cast, stitches on her face, and a big blank canvas where the last 6 weeks should be. She discovers she was involved in a fatal car accident while on a school trip in Italy, a trip she doesn't even remember taking. She was jetted home by her affluent father in order to receive quality care that includes a lawyer and a press team because maybe the accident wasn't an accident. As the accident makes national headlines, Jill finds herself at the center of a murder investigation. It doesn't help that the media is portraying her as a sociopath who killed her bubbly best friend, Simone, in a jealous rage. With the evidence mounting against her, there's only one thing Jill knows for sure. She would never hurt Simone, but what really happened? Questioning who she can trust and what she's capable of, Jill desperately tries to piece together the events of the past 6 weeks before she loses her thin hold on her one perfect life. This is a really good thriller, okay? Mystery thriller. I could not put this down. I was obsessed. Prior to reading the other 3 books that I'm getting ready to talk about, this was ranked #1. And then, of course, I had to push it down the ladder a little bit. But 4th place is not bad. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Honestly, I never liked Tamlin that much. Said that earlier. And I love Rhys so much. I love their cantering together. This one was really, really high up. But then I had to dock it down just a hair. I was torn between ranking this #2 and then ranking this one #2. So this is currently ranked #2, A Court of Rings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Loved the action in the book. It was amazing. It made me cry, and a book has not made me cry in years. I was on the edge of my seat. So that is why this one is ranked higher than this one. But both of these easily could have been ranked #2, like really. But because it made me cry, and I have not cried at a book in literal years, I had to put this one higher. these two are my absolute favorites. Clearly, from the world, a lot of people feel that way about this one. Again, I loved this world so much. This is a series I would reread absolutely 500 times. Like, it is incredible. Finally, my top ranked book of the year is one that I did not want to shut the hell up about. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I've heard it pronounced that way. The twist in this book, unreal. Honestly, not very often do books get me, even though I've said it like this. But this one did, although I do wish that Theo didn't end up doing what he did to Alicia, okay? Get me in the sense of, like, I was truly speechless, okay? Because I've said a lot, like, I didn't see the twist coming. This one left me speechless, okay? I was so shocked. It's not a very thick book. Everybody on TikTok talked about this. I think last year, maybe it was the year before, they talked about it. And I had never read it. And I finally picked it up and I was like, I'm just gonna see what it's about. Obsessed. Obsessed. Okay. Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect until one night when her husband, Gabriel, returns home late from work and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into a mystery that captures the public imagination, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids at the Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo Faber is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband will take him down a path more unexpected and more terrifying than he ever imagined. This is phenomenal, okay? Phenomenal. My last ranking that I posted on YouTube was also a mystery crime thriller book ranked #1, and I feel like that's gonna be a very common theme. I was obsessed with this. Everybody needs to read this. If you like crime, mystery, thriller, anything like that, this is so good, okay? So stinking good. Yeah, it's so good. Amazing, okay? Amazing. Left me speechless. Left me speechless, and if you have not read it, you absolutely need to. Just trust me on that. A lot of these books were really, really good, okay? A lot of them were really good, and I'm very pleased that I got through a lot of books this year. I didn't quite reach my reading goal this year, but I came really, really close. And the year technically is not over, so I still could reach it, but I read some really good bangers this year. Slash last year, but The Silent Patient I read this year and Akatar I read this year. With Malice I read last year, but nonetheless, they were so good, so good. I'm so pleased. Let me know what your favorite book was that you read this year and or last year, because I didn't post one last year. Let me know what you liked and let me know what you're excited to read coming up. I don't know if there's any upcoming releases that I am super excited about. There might be. I'd have to check my Goodreads want to read list because it's extensive and I have quite the large TBR, as you guys can see behind me. This is one of technically 5 bookshelves, but really 4 that I have full of books, and some of them I've read and some of them I haven't, but I have extensiveness. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to my channel before you leave for more rambling nonsense. I'm hoping in the new year I'll be able to film and edit and post more. Working 2 jobs and going to school is not for the faint of heart. There's not a lot of extra time that I have, but I'm hoping that in the new year I'm able to film a little bit more, because I do really enjoy it. I love rambling, clearly. So yeah, help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, and we will see you in the next one. I've got 2 cats staring at me.